Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So we're gonna talk about 3 topics today. I can't really remember on the top of my head, so I'm gonna look at my phone from time to time. The first subject is navigating the UX landscape from the Google course Coursera that I took. And number 2 is deep dive into design learning path and talking to mentorships to try to figure out where can I hone my craft at. And number 3, unveiling the layer of UX design and animation, motion, and interaction design and design system and where I'm at today with that. So let's just hop straight into it. So I'm gonna dive a little bit deep into that. I started the Google course in March 2021. This is when it first came out. Trust me, I had my notifications ready for it. That's how ready I was for this course. At the time, I was living overseas. I was living in France at the time. It took me a while. I felt like if I was not in the middle of moving my family back to the US. By the way, I'm married and I have a little one. If it wasn't for transitioning my family back to the US, I probably would have finished within 3 months. And I must tell you that you have to be self-disciplined because there's not professors or people partnering up with you and helping you out with this Coursera Google course. Most Coursera courses is just self-taught, like you are on your own trying to figure this out. The great thing about the course when I first started, everyone was helping each other out. Some of the students started Discord channels and it was consistent. People were always writing and answering your questions at the time. And it was easy for you to partner up with people and get people to do some user researches for you, or you guys do help each other out, vice versa. Also have an accountability partner. I went that moment where I did have accountability partner where we would just be ahead of each other or just at the same place and helping each other out and guiding each other out. So I do suggest if you find somebody on these Discord or Facebook channels, I would link them in the bio. I don't know if I remember the Discord channel, but the Facebook is still active. Maybe you can find somebody to partner up if you decide to still go through a UX course. So that was my UX journey doing the Coursera. And then as time went by, I kind of went through my own little internship. At the time, after the course, I was meeting people that were already having mentors. So I really realized, okay, mentorship is important. The good thing I like about this Google Coursera course is they give you a lot of resources, and that's how I found out ADP list. I went through the ADP list. I'm not going to say my first mentor was my best mentor. I'm going to tell you straight up, it was just hard to find someone that you can genuinely have a connection with, but I was persistent. I just kept talking to different people, even if it wasn't a connection there, still trying to connect with anyone that I felt they get me, I get them. They are clear about sending out a message and just building a connection. So I did look for mentors outside of UX. I thought about in my head, who are the people that's going to be interviewing me? Who would I have to sit in a room with to interview? Well, sit in Zoom with or Teams in to have some of these interviews. I thought about product managers and things like that. I did end up having a mentor that was a product manager, and I asked her have you ever interviewed a UX designer for a role? And she's like, yes. So I'm so what kind of questions come up? So then she would tell me some questions that would come up, and then I would go to a mentor that's a UX designer and I'll ask them these questions, and I would tell them how I would answer that question, and then they would help me revise and properly answer those questions. That was another thing that I did, just try to talk to folks that are into UX and see how they would answer questions that will come up in an interview. And sometimes, to be honest, the interviews are almost the same thing. We can talk about that in the next video, what to expect in a UX interview. If that's something that you guys are interested in, let me know in the comments. We can do that too. That was one thing that I did. I did join some Slack communities for UX and UI. I'm going to leave my resources below. Also a community if you're trying to look for a community that you want to get into. I would reach out to people from Slack channels, talk to people, have conversation with them. They'll talk about everything: leadership, microaggression, the politics of tech, like just learning and understanding how it is in tech. And not only that, learn how to articulate myself and prepare myself and talk like a UX designer and what kind of vocabulary. I was like mimicking people, how they talk, until it became a comfort level for me. So that was one thing after the Coursera and Google. Another thing that I did also was that I took a Udemy course for interaction and animation because I felt like during my time of meeting mentors and talking to people and having people look over my portfolio, people were just like, oh my gosh, you got so many great interaction design. And I kind of got into like interested in interactive design was because of the fact that I was seeing like people within the Coursera Google course. Some of them came from boot camp, so they already had like a website up. And I noticed there was a lot of animations or interaction design, a lot of prototyping happening. That was like something that I was thinking like, okay, these people are landing jobs because they have a little bit of animation and things are going on their website. I need some of that. That was my interest then during the whole Google Coursera time. But like when I did have mentors get to a point to look over my portfolio, that's when I started realizing, that's when people started pointing out that, okay, well, I see that you are pretty good at prototyping. Maybe that's something you should look into. That was another thing that I did. I did a lot of interaction design. I learned to articulate myself from this Unity course. I'll link it below. Can't think of it on the top of my head. Learn what cascading means in different interactions, how to say it, because the Google course doesn't teach you all that. After I did that course, I was on YouTube, 101, course 101 YouTube. So I learned from a few designers on here how to do interaction design and prototyping and animations. And that was just like it for me. Bread and butter, I had it down packed. After that, I had a mentor that I met from Target. I had her on my channel, Makosa. She was a DEI at the time at Target, and she was introducing me to other designers that were at Target to a point where I met like a senior designer at Target, and she was just telling me like, hey, I see you're really good at animation and interaction design. We're thinking about in the future hiring interaction design. How about you do something for me? Like, it's up to you if you're up to the challenge. I'm like, yes, of course I'm up to the challenge. So I created a 404 page. I'm gonna try to like show a little bit of slide of it. Like where like I thought to myself, like, okay, what is the mascot of Target? Scott, their dog. I was like, you know what? It would be nice to make Scott hopping and hitting the target ball. And then next thing you know, a 404 page shows up. I was like, that would be a great idea for something I should do. So I did do that. I ended up putting it in my portfolio. She was like, yeah, I'll just show it to my managers and if, they don't pick you, fine. At least you have something nice in your portfolio. And if somebody asks you about it, give them my email. See how I did that there? You saw how I did that? Create opportunities for yourself. Start reaching out to folks and having conversations and seeing where that can take you. And because of that Target interaction design that I did, and I still have it in my portfolio, that's how I landed my first job, because my CEO loved that interaction that I did for Target. Another backstory about that Target manager and them was looking for someone that can build interactions from scratch and not use Lottie files. Because Lottie's kind of like generated and everybody probably uses that nowadays. That was a challenge for me and I just went for it. After doing that, I still was interested. I was just trying to build on my skills and get to a place where I'm very comfortable with interaction design. So the dynamic island came out and I decided to build it. So one thing about me, I really love innovation. So I was like, okay, let me do the dynamic island and let me innovate something that is not on the dynamic island. Like I did my research. This is before the phone even came out with the dynamic island. I was like doing my research, checking online, trying to see a lot of videos. Well, it wasn't much videos, but trying to see if they have already made this already. So I came up with an idea where I was just like, you know what? What if someone can leave a voicemail video? Like a video of them talking and telling you like, hey, pick up your phone. I know you there. intrusion of privacy, but I thought this feature would be nice. And of course, someone can turn it off if they feel like this is just too much for them. But I thought it would be innovative. And so I did something like that and I posted it everywhere because I wanted people to understand, like, okay, I do this. Trust me, my picture was on there, my face was on there. You couldn't say that I didn't make this animation. And I made it through Figma. So that was just something that I was just playing around with, like create possibilities for yourself. Honestly, it's worth the shot. Something you can put in your portfolio. You can, who knows, you probably might end up getting hired by a company because they saw that you did this for them. So that's something that I did. Where I'm at right now. So right now I am interaction designer, which is my bread and butter. I think one of my conversations with a mentor, it was the reason why I decided to not just apply to any job and apply it with something that I really love. Because at the time I had like so many skill sets and it was just so hard for me to like pinpoint what I really love. I undermine in design libraries. That's something that I learned along the way while working in my company where there was a need for it. So it was something that I learned. And now I actually love it. Like I had a place, I actually came to a point where it was just like something I really hated because I was not trying to learn auto layouts for the life of me. And now it's something that I really love because like I just see how good I am and just figuring out the puzzle. So one thing about me, I'm a geek. So once I learn a system, it's a wrap. I'm like perfect at it. When I think about prototyping, to me, animations and interaction design, as if me being a child trying to play Super Mario and get to the next world. And design library is really dealing with Rubik's cubes, especially when it comes to responsiveness, just trying to figure out the right constraints when it comes to building components and things like that. So that's how I feel. Like it really gives me an adrenaline rush when I'm trying to figure these things out because I just don't, I become restless until I get what I envision, right? Like that's just how passionate I am about interaction design. I'm kind of like, dang, why can I not get this the way I want it to? Why can it not come out the way I need it to look right now? So that's just me. That's just how I feel when I'm creating something that I visualize in my head and I really want to get it to look how I imagine it in my mind. So in conclusion, my UX design journey has been fascinating. Blend of structure, self-learning, self-discovery. Like I think my 16-year-old self will be so happy with me because like I was already into like graphic designs then. Now that I'm back doing something where I'm being creative and I'm using my hands when it comes to digital things. This subscribe button, I did it myself on Figma. I was like, instead of going on Canva or Etsy buying one, why can't I make my own? By the way, please like and subscribe. And stay tuned for my journey in this tech realm. I think my next video will be talking about calling two countries home because I still go back to France at least twice a year for 5 weeks working remotely. And then I'm back in New York, still in between France and New York to this day. I guess I'm gonna stop being shy and finally vlog about it. So stay tuned and thank you guys for watching.